For Little Kittens by Kathleen H. Daly. Pictures by Adriana Mazza Salviosi. Once upon a time, 4 kittens were born in a corner of the barn. I wonder what kind of cats they'll grow up to be, thought the mother cat. She looked her 4 new babies proudly. They were still tiny. Their eyes were sealed shut, and they could only mew and snuggle close to their mother's warm side. In a few days, the kittens opened their eyes. Each day they grew a little bigger and a little stronger, and a great deal naughtier, thought Mother Cat, as they pounced on her twitchy tail. Children, she said one day, the time has come for you to decide what kind of cats you will be. Tell us, mewed the kittens, what kind of cats there are. Mother Cat sat up and half closed her green eyes, and began. There are alley cats. An alley cat is long and lean. He slinks like a shadow, sleeps where he can, eats what he finds. A free cat is he, no manners to mind, no washing of paws, no sheathing of claws. He does what he likes, and nobody knows but he. Your Uncle Tom is an alley cat. Many friends he has, and they make fine music at night to the moon. His enemies are stray dogs, and turning wheels, and cold sleet and rain. He's a wild and clever cat, an alley cat. That is the life for me, said Tuff, the biggest kitten, and off he went to be an alley cat, like bold Uncle Tom. Now Uncle Tar was a ship's cat, Mother Cat went on. A splendid cat he was, with a ship for a home and sailors for friends. A ship's cat visits seaports 1,000 miles away and talks to foreign cats and chases foreign rats that try to come aboard. A brave cat is he, a jolly roving cat, a ship's cat, and many are the tales that Uncle Tar could tell. That is the life for me, said Luff, the second kitten, and off he went to be a ship's cat, like jolly Uncle Tar. And, said Mother, there are farm cats. I am a farm cat, a useful cat. I catch the mice and chase the rats while the farmer sleeps at night. I live in the barn on a bed of straw. No house cat am I. Farm cat can talk to all the animals that live on the farm. A splendid, useful, strong cat is the farm cat, though I do say so myself. That is the life for me, said Ruff, the third kitten, and off he went to be a farm cat, just like his mother. Mother Cat purred. Now the smallest, youngest kitten was named Muff. Muff was gentle and playful and pretty, and always kept her white paws clean. Muff's mother sighed and said, Muff, I don't think you are an alley cat. I don't think you are a ship's cat, or even a farm cat. I don't know what kind of cat you are. And off went Mother Cat to catch a nice fat mouse for dinner. Sadly, Muff wandered out of the barn. She caught sight of Ruff, getting ready to spring on a great big rat. Muff shivered and crept by as quietly as she could. I couldn't be a farm cat, said Muff, because I'm too afraid of big rats. Muff wandered out of the farm and down to the village. She saw plump little Tuff, doing his best to look lean and wild like an alley cat. Woof, woof, barked a little stray dog, and Tuff arched his back and bristled his fur and spat and hissed in his best alley cat way. The little dog ran away, and so did Muff. Down to the river she ran, and she saw Luff on a big ship in the harbor. The sailors were busy with ropes and things, but already Luff had curled up in a place where he wouldn't be in the way. Soon Luff would be visiting cats 1,000 miles away, just like Uncle Tar. Muff waved goodbye. I wish I knew what kind of cat I am, she sighed. Then she had to run out of the way as a bicycle came by. It began to rain, and Muff got cold and wet. She didn't like that at all. She shook her wet paws crossly. She lay down to sleep in a lumpy pile of sacks. She didn't like that much either. She was cold and hungry and cross, and when a big hand picked her up, she spat and hissed for all the world like an alley cat. But the big hand put her in a big, warm pocket, and after a few more angry squawks and a sad little mew, Muff fell asleep. When next she opened her eyes, Muff was in a house. There were cushions and carpets and curtains. There was a warm, crackling fire. There was a little girl with soft, gentle hands. Oh, what a lovely kitten, said the little girl. Oh, I wanted a kitten so much. Now I won't be lonely any more. The little girl gave Muff a saucer of cream. Muff drank it all, with one white foot in the saucer to keep it steady. Then she washed her paw and licked her whiskers. That was much better than the fat mice for dinner. The little girl played with Muff. She dangled a string, and Muff jumped and pounced in her prettiest way, and the little girl laughed with delight. This was much better than running away from barking dogs and turning wheels. The little girl lifted Muff onto her warm lap and stroked Muff's fur. "Oh, it's nice to have a kitten," said the little girl. Muff purred loudly. This was much better than a pile of lumpy sacks or even a bed of straw. "This is life for me," purred Muff. "I know what kind of cat I am. I'm a cushion and cream cat, a purring cat, a cuddlesome cat, a playful cat, a little girl's cat. I'm a house cat." And so all 4 kittens lived happily ever after, Tough in his alley because he was an alley cat, Rough on his farm because he was a farm cat, Luff on his ship because he was a ship's cat, and Muff on her cushions in her house with her little girl because she was a house cat. The end. The Sailor Dog by Margaret Wise Brown. Pictures by Garth Williams. Born at sea in the teeth of a gale, the sailor was a dog. Scuppers was his name. After that he lived on a farm, but Scuppers, born at sea, was a sailor, and when he grew up he wanted to go to sea. So he went to look for something to go in. He found a big airplane. "All aboard," they cried. It was going up in the sky, but Scuppers did not want to go up in the sky. He found a little submarine. "All aboard," they called. It was going down under the sea, but Scuppers did not want to go down under the sea. He found a little car. "All aboard," they cried. It was going over land, but Scuppers did not want to go over land. He found a subway train. "All aboard," they called. It was going under the earth, but Scuppers did not want to go under the earth. Scuppers was a sailor. He wanted to go to sea. So Scuppers went over the hills and far away until he came to the sea. Over the hills and far away was the ocean, and on the ocean was a ship. The ship was about to go over the sea. It blew all its whistles. "All aboard," they called. "All ashore that are going ashore. All aboard." So Scuppers went to sea. The ship began to move slowly along. The wind blew it. In his ship Scuppers had a little room. In his little room Scuppers had a hook for his hat, and a hook for his rope, and a hook for his handkerchief, and a hook for his pants, and a hook for his spyglass, and a place for his shoes, and a bunk for a bed to put himself in. At night Scuppers threw the anchor into the sea, and he went down to his little room. He put his hat on the hook for his hat, and his rope on the hook for his rope, and his pants on the hook for his pants, and his spyglass on the hook for his spyglass, and he put his shoes under the bed, and got into his bed, which was a bunk, and went to sleep. Next morning he was shipwrecked. Too big a storm blew out of the sky. The anchor dragged up, and the ship crashed under the rocks. There was a big hole in it. Scuppers himself was washed overboard and hurled by the huge waves onto the shore. He was washed up onto the beach. It was foggy and rainy. There were no houses, and Scuppers needed a house. But on the beach was lots and lots of driftwood, and he found an old rusty box stuck in the sand. Maybe it was a treasure. It was a treasure to Scuppers. It was an old-fashioned toolbox with hammers and nails and an axe and saw. Everything he needed to build himself a house. So Scuppers started to build a house all by himself out of driftwood. He built a door and a window and a roof and a porch and a floor, all out of driftwood. And he found some red bricks and built a big red chimney. And then he lit a fire, and the smoke went up the chimney. After building his house he was hungry, so he went fishing. He went fishing in a big river. The first fish he caught never came up. The second fish he caught got away. The third fish he caught was too little, but the next fish he caught was just right. Now he's cooking the fish he caught in the house he built, and smoke is going up the chimney. Then the stars came out, and he was sleepy, so he built a bed of pine branches. And he jumped into his deep green bed and went to sleep. As he slept, he dreamt if he could build a house, he could mend a hole in the ship. So the next day at low tide, he took his toolbox and waded out and hammered planks over the hole in his ship. At last the ship was fixed, so he sailed away until he came to a seaport in a foreign land. By now his clothes were all worn and ripped and torn and blown to pieces. His coat was torn and his hat was blown away, and his shoes were all worn out, and his handkerchief was ripped. Only his pants were still good. So he went ashore to buy some clothes at the Army and Navy store, and some fresh oranges. He bought a coat. He found a red one too small. He found a blue one just right. It had brass buttons on it. Then he went to buy a hat. He found a purple one too silly. He found a white one just right. He needed new shoes. He found some yellow ones too small. He found some red ones too fancy. Then he found some white ones just right. Here he is with his new hat on, and with his new shoes on, and with his new coat on, with his shiny brass buttons. He has a can of polish and a cloth to keep them shiny. And he has a new clean handkerchief and a new rope and a bushel of oranges. And now Scuppers wants to go back to his ship, so he goes there. And at night, when the stars came out, he took one last look through his spyglass and went down below to his little room. And he hung his new hat on the hook for the hat. He hung his spyglass on the hook for his spyglass. He hung his new coat on the hook for his coat, and his new handkerchief on the hook for his handkerchief, and his pants on the hook for his pants, and his new rope on the hook for his rope, and his new shoes he put under his bunk, and put himself in his bunk. And there he is where he wants to be, a sailor sailing the deep blue sea. The end. Fuzzy Duckling by Jane Werner. Pictures by Allison Martin Provenson. Early one bright morning, a small fuzzy duckling went for a walk. He walked through the sunshine. He walked through the shade, in the long striped shadows that the cattails made. He met two frisky colts. "Hello," said the duckling. "Will you come for a walk with me?" But the two frisky colts would not. So on went the little duckling on over the hill. There he found three spotted calves, all resting in the shade. "Hello," said the duckling. "Will you come for a walk with me?" But the sleepy calves would not. So on went the duckling. He met four noisy turkeys and 5 white geese, and 6 lively lambs with thick, soft fleece. But no one would come for a walk with the fuzzy duckling. So on he went, all by his lone. Poor little duckling! He walked this way and that, but he could not find the right path. He met 7 playful puppies and 8 hungry pigs. "Won't you come for a walk with me?" asked the fuzzy duckling. "You had better walk straight home," said the pigs. "Don't you know it's supper time?" "Oh," said the duckling, "thank you." And he turned around to start for home. But which way was home? Just as he began to feel quite unhappy, he heard a sound in the rushes near by, and out waddled 9 fuzzy ducklings and their big mother duck. "At last," said the mother duck. "There is our lost baby duckling." "Get in line," called the other ducklings. "We're going home for supper." So the lost little duckling joined the line, and away went the 10 little ducklings home for supper. "This is the best way to go for a walk," said the happy little fuzzy little duckling. The end. The Kitten Who Thought He Was a Mouse by Miriam Norton. Pictures by Garth Williams. There are 5 Miggses, Mother and Father Miggs, and Lester and 2 sisters. They had, as field mice usually do, an outdoor nest for summer in an empty lot, and an indoor nest for winter in a nearby house. They were very surprised one summer day to finding a strange bundle in their nest. A small gray and white bundle of fur and ears and legs, eyes not open yet. They knew by its mewing that the bundle must be a kitten. A lost kitten with no family and no name. "Poor kitty," said the sisters. "Let him stay with us," said Lester. "But a cat?" said Mother Miggs. "Why not?" said Father Miggs. "We can bring him up to be a good mouse. He needs never to find out he is really a cat. You'll see, he'll be a good thing for this family." "Let's call him Mickey," said Lester. And that's how Mickey Miggs found his new family and a name. After his eyes opened, he began to grow up, just as mice do, eating all kinds of seeds and bugs and drinking from puddles and sleeping in a cozy pile of brother and sister mice. Father Miggs showed him his first tomcat at a safe distance and warned him to keep away from all cats and dogs and people. Mickey saw his first mousetrap. "The most dangerous thing of all," said Mother Miggs when they moved to the indoor nests that fall. He was too clumsy to steal bait from traps, so Lester and the sisters had to share with him what they stole. But Mickey was useful in fooling the household pet, Hazel. He practiced upward mewing, for usually, of course, he squeaked, and became clever at what he thought was imitating a cat. He would hide in a dark corner and then, "Meow, meow," he'd cry. Hazel would just poke around, leaving the pantry shelves unguarded, while she looked for the other cat. Then came Lester and his sisters. That gave Lester and his sisters a chance to make a raid on the leftovers. Poor Hazel. She knew she heard, even smelled another cat, and sometimes saw the cat's eyes shining in a corner. But no cat ever came out to meet her. How could she know that Mickey didn't know he was a cat at all, and that he feared Hazel as much as the mousiest mouse would? And so Mickey Miggs grew, becoming a better mouse all the time and enjoying his life. He loved cheese, bacon, and cake crumbs. He got especially good at smelling out potato skins, and led the sisters and Lester straight to them every time. "A wholesome and uncat-like food," said Mother Miggs to Father Miggs approvingly. "Mickey is doing well." And Father Miggs said to Mother Miggs, "I told you so." Then one day, coming from a nap in the waste paper basket, Mickey met the children of the house, Peggy and Paul. "Eek!" Mickey squeaked in terror. He dashed along the walls of the room, looking for his mouse hole. "It's a kitten!" cried Peggy, as Mickey squeezed through the hole. "But it acts like a mouse," said Paul. The children could not understand why the kitten had been so mouse-like, but they decided to try to make friends with him. That night, as Mickey came out of his hole, he nearly tripped over something lying right there in front of him. He sniffed at it. It was a dish, and in the dish was something to drink. "What is it?" asked Mickey. Lester didn't know, but timidly tried a little. "No good," he said, shaking his whisker. Mickey tried it, tried some more, then some more, and more, and more, and more, until it was all gone. He said, "What wonderful stuff. It's probably poison and you'll get sick," said Lester disgustedly. But it wasn't poison, and Mickey had a lovely feeling in his stomach from drinking it. It was milk, of course, and every night that week, Mickey found a saucer of milk outside the same hole. He lapped up every drop. He drank it, cried Peggy and Paul happily each morning. They began to set out a saucer full in the daytime, too. At first, Mickey would drink the milk only when he was sure Peggy and Paul were nowhere around. Soon he grew bolder and began to trust them in the room with him. And soon he began to let them come nearer and nearer. Then one day he found himself scooped up and held in Peggy's arms. He didn't feel scared. He felt fine. And he felt a queer rumble up his back. It startled him. It was Mickey's first purr. Peggy and Paul took Mickey to a shiny glass on the wall and held him close in front of it. Mickey, who had never seen a mirror, saw a cat staring at him there, a cat in Paul's arms where he thought he was. He began to cry, and his cry, instead of being a squeak, was a mewling wail. Finally, Mickey began to understand that he was not a mouse like Lester and his sisters, but a cat like Hazel. He played with Peggy and Paul that night, trying not to be afraid of his own cat, though. He still didn't quite believe it all, however, and next morning he crept back through the old hole straight to Mother Miggs. "Am I really a cat?" he cried. "Yes," said Mother Miggs sadly, and she told him the whole story of how he was adopted and brought up as a mouse. "We loved you and wanted you to love us," she explained. "It was the only safe and fair way to bring you up." After talking with Mother Miggs, Mickey decided to be a cat in all ways. He now lives with Peggy and Paul, who also love him, and who can give him lots of good milk, and who aren't afraid of his purr or his meow. Mickey can't really forget his upbringing, however. He takes an old rubber mouse of Peggy's to bed with him. He often visits the Miggses in the indoor nest when he nibbles cheese tidbits and squeaks about old times. And of course he sees to it that Hazel no longer prowls in the pantry at night. "Oh, I'm so fat and stuffed from eating so much in Hazel's pantry," Father Miggs often said happily to Mother Miggs. "I always said our Mickey would be a good thing for the family." And he is. The end. Mother Goose. "Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack, jump over the candlestick. Ring of roses, a pocket full of posies. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Little boy blue, come blow your horn. The sheep's in the meadow, the cow's in the corn. Where's the little boy tending the sheep? He's under the haystack, fast asleep. Will you wake him? No, not I, for if I do, he's sure to cry. Bobby Shafto's gone to sea, silver buckles on his knee. He'll be back and marry me. Bonny Bobby Shafto. Bobby Shafto's fat and fair, combing down his yellow hair. He's my love forevermore. Bonny Bobby Shafto. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. Build it up with wood and clay, wood and clay, wood and clay. Build it up with wood and clay, my fair lady. Please forgive my poor singing. One misty, moisty morning, when cloudy was the weather, I chanced to meet an old man, clothed all in leather. Clothed all in leather, with cap under his chin. How do you do, and how do you do, and how do you do again? There wasn't a woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread, hugged them all soundly, and sent them to bed. Simple Simon met a pieman going to the fair. Says Simple Simon to the pieman, "Let me taste your ware." Says the pieman to Simple Simon, "Show me first your penny." Says Simple Simon to the pieman, "Indeed I have not any." Hickety-pickety, my fine hen, she lays eggs for gentlemen. Gentlemen come every day to see what my fine hen doth lay. Sometimes 9 and sometimes 10, hickety-pickety, my fine hen. Diddle-diddle dumpling, my son John, went to bed with his trousers on, one shoe off and one shoe on. Diddle-diddle dumpling, my son John. Hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such sport, and the dish ran away with the spoon. Old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard to fetch her poor dog a bone. But when she got there, the cupboard was bare, and so the poor dog had none. She went to the grocery to buy him some fruit. When she came back, he was playing the flute. She went to the hatter's to buy him a hat. When she came back, he was feeding the cat. She went to the tailor to buy him a coat. But when she got back, he was riding a goat. The dame made a curtsy, the dog made a bow. The dame said, "Your servant?" The dog said, "Bow wow." "Baa, baa, black sheep, have you any wool?" Yes, sir, 3 bags full. One for my master, one for my dame, and one for the little boy who lives down the lane." Polly, put the kettle on, Polly, put the kettle on, Polly, put the kettle on, we'll all have tea. Sukey, take it off again, Sukey, take it off again, Sukey, take it off again, they've all gone away. Elsie Marley has grown so fine, she won't get up to feed the swine, but lies in bed till 8 or 9, lazy Elsie Marley. Old Mother Goose, when she wanted to wander, would ride through the air on a very fine gander. Rub-a-dub-dub, 3 men in a tub, and who do you think they be? The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, turned them out, knaves all 3. To market, to buy a fat pig, home again, jiggity jig. To market, to buy a fat hog, home again, jiggity jog. Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater, had a wife and couldn't keep her. He put her in a pumpkin shell, and there he kept her very well. Sing a song of 6pence, a pocket full of rye, 4 and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie. When the pie was opened, the birds began to sing. Wasn't that a dainty dish to set before the king? The king was in his counting house, counting out his money. The queen was in the parlor, eating bread and honey. The maid was in the garden, hanging out the clothes. There came a little blackbird and snipped off her nose. "Barber, barber, shave a pig. How many hairs to make a wig?" 4 and 20, that's enough. Give the barber a pinch of snuff. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Jack's brat could eat no fat, his wife could eat no lean, and so between them both, you see, they licked the platter clean. There was a jolly miller once, lived on the River Dee. He worked and sang from morn to night, no lark more blithe than he. And this the burden of his song forever used to be: "I care for nobody, no, not I, if nobody cares for me." Old King Cole was a merry old soul, and a merry old soul was he. He called for his pipe, and he called for his bowl, and he called for his fiddlers 3. Every fiddler he had a fine fiddle, and every fine fiddle had he. Tweedledee, went the fiddlers. Oh, there's none so rare as can compare with King Cole and his fiddlers 3. 3 little kittens, they lost their mittens, and they began to cry. "Oh, mother dear, we sadly fear our mittens we have lost." "What, lost your mittens, you naughty kittens? Now you shall have no pie." "Meow, meow, meow, now we shall have no pie." The 3 little kittens, they found their mittens, and they began to cry. "Oh, mother dear, see here, our mittens we have found." "What, found your mittens, you silly kittens? Now you shall have some pie." Purr, purr, purr. "Oh, let us have some pie." The 3 little kittens put on their mittens, and soon ate up the pie. "Oh, mother dear, we greatly fear our mittens we have soiled." "What soiled your mittens, you naughty kittens?" And they began to sigh. Meow, meow, meow. The 3 little kittens, they washed their mittens and hung them out to dry. "Oh, mother dear, look here, our mittens we have washed." "What, washed your mittens, you good little kittens? But I smell a rat close by." "Hush, hush, hush, I smell a rat close by." 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4, knock at the door. 5, 6, pick up sticks. 7, 8, lay them straight. 9, 10, a big fat hen. "A diller, a dollar, a 10 o'clock scholar, what makes you come so soon? You used to come at 10 o'clock, and now you come at noon." Pussycat, pussycat, where have you been?" "I've been in London to look at the Queen." Pussycat, pussycat, what did you there?" "I frightened a little mouse under her chair." Hector Protector was dressed all in green. Hector Protector was sent to the Queen. The Queen did not like him, no more did the King, so Hector Protector was sent back again. "Mistress Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow?" "With silver bells and cockle shells, and pretty maids all in a row." Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet, eating her curds and whey. There came a big spider who sat down beside her and frightened Miss Muffet away. I had a little hen, the prettiest ever seen. She washed up the dishes and kept the house clean. She went to the mill to fetch me some flour, and always got home in less than an hour. She baked me my bread, she brewed me my ale, she sat by the fire and told a fine tale. Blow, wind, blow, and go, mill, go, that the miller may grind his corn, that the baker may take it, and into bread make it, and bring us a loaf in the morn. As I was going to St. Ives, I met a man with 7 wives. Every wife had 7 sacks, every sack had 7 cats, every cat had 7 kids, kids, cats, sacks, and wives. How many were going to St. Ives? This little pig went to market, this little pig stayed home. This little pig had roast beef, this little pig had none. This little pig cried, wee, 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 I can't find my way home. Pussy cat, wilt thou be mine? Thou shalt not wash dishes, nor yet feed the swine, but sit on a cushion and sew a fine seam, and feed upon strawberries, sugar, and cream. Wee Willie Winkie runs through the town, upstairs and downstairs in his nightgown, rapping at the windows, crying through the locks. Are the children all in bed? For now it's 8 o'clock. Starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight. I wish I may, I wish I might have the wish I wish tonight. Good night, sleep tight, wake up bright in the morning light, to do what's right with all your might. There was an old crow sat upon a clog. That's the end of my song, that's odd. The end.